Attachments are formed over a series of ruptures and repairs. Okay, so let's think about a baby and the parent. We'll just say a mom in this example.
Okay. Feel for you.
Right. So little babies have no sense of time, right?
Yeah.
So maybe the baby has a soiled diaper, okay? And let's say the mom is in the other room briefly, maybe helping with another child or cutting vegetables for dinner or on the computer, who knows what.
Yeah.
The baby experiences discomfort and starts crying. Okay. The baby has no sense of time. So in however much time, seconds or minutes, moments that it takes the mom to get to the baby, the child has been abandoned.
Right.
And there's been a rupture. Okay?
Yes.
Then, and then the mother, or it could be the dad if it's, but in this example, the mother picks up the child.
Caregiver.
Yeah, the caregiver makes eye contact, coos, attunes to the baby. They're not just like matter of fact. They're like, they attune to the baby's state. And then they physically use their nervous system, their breathing, their skin warmth, their smell.
Co-regulate,
to soothe the baby. The baby's calmed down and there's been a repair. Okay?
Yeah.
And it is this process of rupture and repair that helps form a strong attachment. And it also helps the child develop a sense of identity, a sense of safety. So many important things come out of rupture and repair.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm going to give another example about rupture and repair that's related to shame. Okay? So let's say a child runs into the room and says, Daddy, look at the painting I made on the wall. Okay? The child's in a state of excitement.
Yep.
Okay. Well, who can blame the parent? They might initially say, what? Because the child made a picture on the wall, right?
Right.
And so what happens for the child? So there's not an attunement. Okay, the child was in a state of excitement, and the parent's like angry or upset or whatever.
On the wall.
Yeah,
yeah.
Parent doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, sometimes we're going to not have the best response, right? But the child's experiencing a drop into shame. Okay.
Yes.
When the child feels the
You're
drop,
wrong.
Yeah. When the child feels the drop into shame, chemicals are released in the brain. And sorry, I don't remember all the science about it, the names and stuff, but let's just say it does bad stuff.
Yeah, there's bad stuff juice up in your brain.
Bad stuff juice in the brain when the child drops into shame.
Yes.
However, this is what's like magic. I wish, if I could go back, I'd study neuroscience so I could remember all these terms and describe in more detail what happens. But when the parent goes to you and says, oh, hey, that must have really scared you when my voice got loud like that. Come here. Show me your picture. Wow, you really made a beautiful tree. So, Jen, we don't want to color on the walls, but let's get a big piece of paper and tape it on the wall. So next time, and the child's comforted and soothed, and the parent maybe holds them, whatever, and there's a repair. Okay, those chemicals that got released in the brain when the child dropped into shame, they shift, they change, they transform, and then they change function, and then they begin pruning, just like you prune a bush.
Yeah.
They prune the brain for increased self-regulation.
Synaptic pruning.
So that that's the beginning. So when a child ruptures, inevitable. When there's the repair,
you're teaching them how to self-soothe or how to soothe.
Over time, their brain develops what it needs to eventually be able to stay calm and regulated themselves. The parent, they borrow the parent's nervous system when they're a child, and if the parent's able to be present and available and attuned, then that's how the child eventually can be a calm and regulated as an adult, and how they can, when they have children, if they have children, they can do the same, right? But there's a lot of us walking around with nervous systems that get activated super easily, in part because our parents didn't have calm, regulated nervous systems, so we didn't have enough of that process.
Right.
Okay, so I haven't gone back. I'm going to get back to the couples.
Okay.
But it's helpful to look at the parent-child. Mm-hmm. So because this series of ruptures and repairs is so crucial just for basic development and forming the attachment, it would not be in the child's best interest to have the perfect parent. Even if it were possible, if the parent could anticipate the very second the child has a need and be right there.
Yeah.
So the child wouldn't have to feel that momentary abandonment.
Tested, or they wouldn't get to strengthen that muscle.
Right. We need the rupture to happen because the child needs to have the repair.
Lucky for us, rupture happens we get opportunities.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the great news for parents. You don't have to be perfect.
Yes.
Going to couples, it's the same thing. Think about new couples. You're still in the new couple.
Yeah.
If it's just a year or so.
Yeah.
Think about lover spats, right? At the beginning, couples often have fights, misunderstandings, right? They're getting to know each other. It's part of that same process of rupture and repair, helping the attachment to grow strong. Okay, over time, if the couple can hang in there and they continue to be able to do repair properly, the attachment will get stronger and stronger, and then there will be fewer misunderstandings. Things smooth out, and they, if they have a long life together, they, it's easier and all that. They understand each other, but so that's why this concept, Daniel Winnicott, who's a famous child development researcher, developed the term the good enough mother.
The good enough mother.
The good enough mother. You don't want the perfect mother. The good enough mother is actually the best.
Because this mother knows how to repair.
Well, the good enough mother means she's not perfect. It means there are going to be ruptures.
There's going to be ruptures.
We're not talking about the mom screaming at the child, right? We're talking about the mom being not perfect.
But the good part is the repair part.
And it's the same thing for couples. Okay, it's the same thing in your adult romantic relationships and in your friendships, your deep, important friendships.
Right. This is about relationships, really.
The good news is we do not have to be perfect. We can have moments of shame. We can have moments of falling into our old patterns of shutting down or being aggressive or whatever.
Yeah.
But if we can use conscious awareness to realize that we're activated, that we're in an old distress response.
Yeah.
We can take a pause. We can calm ourselves down, however we do that, with our breathing, with taking a jog around the block, doing jumping jacks, calling a friend, listening to music. We can bring ourselves down, and then we're in conscious awareness. We can choose. We can remind ourselves from our, the podcasts we listen to, or the work we've done in therapy, or the books we've read, how to do a repair. Then we go to our partner, and we begin that process, right?
Yeah.
And then the attachment can even be stronger. And so that's where a lot of couples unfortunately grow apart and lose their strong attachment, is because they have fights, they have misunderstandings, hurtful things happen, and they don't know how to repair because nobody modeled it for them. And so what they do is just wait it out.
Oof.
They kind of separate. They don't talk much for a few days. It feels miserable. They stonewall. But not even because they're bad people, because they just it wasn't modeled for them. And they get on their computers, or they go to work for a few days, and then after a few days or hours or whatever, then they just kind of act normal with each other and then move on. The problem is there wasn't the repair, and so the relationship got injured, and a relationship cannot sustain an infinite number of injuries. At some point, it's going to get damaged beyond repair.
Heck yeah. Reminds me of, I used my phone because what we're talking about reminds me of Kintsugi. Kintsugi, you know this? I think I pronounced it right. It's called golden joinery. It's the practice in Japan of when something breaks, they repair it with gold.
Yes.
And so what they're left with after the repair is far more valuable than the original object.
Yeah.
And this reminds me of this idea of, with each rupture and repair, it's how we repair. It's that we repair.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a beautiful metaphor. Yeah.
More valuable, makes the intimacy more, it's intimate to tell someone vulnerably, authentically your experience. And it's also scary. Well, depending on your life experience. For me, I can speak for myself. It's scary because of the responses I've gotten to sharing my experience.
Yeah. It is scary. I really like that analogy. And yeah, you do create something that's stronger and more beautiful.
Yeah.